And again, if a circle, this is part two of the circle. If a circle is to establish life, if that's a symbol of life, you're still going around in a circle. That circle would have to be hollow in order to represent a portal for something to be able to pass through it. That would represent expansion, leveling up, going to the next level, passing into the next room. A lot of initiations on the occult side took place in entering different archways in different layers in different rooms, but you had to always go through the archway. And while that wasn't shaped like a circle, of course, but the connotation of zero circle, the circle itself, whether it be O or zero, whatever the case, if it's hollowed out, it's a portal essentially. What do you think a tube is? A portal, a wormhole? It's just one big long zero that you can travel through. Essentially, this is what you see, like if you're going to go off of imaging, what's placed before you. If you're just working off of what you're being shown, then the zero is also a portal, seeing that circles have that shape. But again, yes, this can also represent death because it's like a tube where you pass from this world to that world. You're looking at it and it looks like a 2D figure. But if you're thinking about numbers in a third dimension, if you add a third dimension to the zero becomes a tube because now you're adding width to just the length and height. Is no longer just a written zero or a written drawn circle. This circle now, if it's hollowed out and lengthened at the same time, it is a beam. If that circle is full, if you're closed in, either end of this beam is closed in, now you're in a tank. Sensory deprivation tanks are cylindrical. And anything that is considered cylindrical is just the tubing out of a circle. So a circle is a pass through also. But if you get trapped on the side of it that you don't want and you don't understand what the portal is and how to channel the forces of zero and O, then you can be stuck in a world that you don't want. So what am I saying to make it applicable? You have to go through the journey. The journey is like the tube. You passing through zero to get to the other side, to get to your best life. You're traveling, you're taking the steps, you're doing the learning, you're getting the practice, you're getting the experience, right? You're living it, becoming better at it. Now it's marketable. You're getting your numbers, you're getting your followers, you're getting your subs, you're getting your super chats, you're selling your merch, you're selling your seminars, you're selling your courses, you're selling your everything else. It's booming as you pass through the tube known as zero, which is now cylindrical if you add a third dimension to it. And you must add a third dimension to a number, even though you're looking at it like it's just a number. But adding the third dimension to a number like zero creates this image of a tunnel. Because we're living in 3D. We're not living in 2D. We're not stick figures. No matter how thin we get, we're not stick figures. So add a third dimension to the numbers too. The numbers also, not to confuse zero with two, but also you can do this with many other 2D objects. And if you're looking at it and you can link it up with enough images, then you can deduce that the symbology the whole time is pretty much right in front of you. There's many other things, countless other things. You'll see a triangle, right? Usually like what hazard, the triangle be having an exclamation mark on it or in it. That usually represents the warding off. So you have this exclusion that comes in in the triangle. It's three angles. What does that become when you add a third dimension to a triangle? It becomes a pyramid, or at least half of it, because it's really a diamond. The other part is underground. But for the sake of what you see on the surface, yeah, if you're gonna add the third dimension to a two-dimensional triangular figure, then you're going to get a pyramid. Of course, if this is an equilateral triangle, I'm assuming, or whatever kind of exact triangle is used in the building of the pyramids, that triangle, if it's given a third dimension, it becomes that. Without it, it just becomes a regular triangle, you understand? Just like a square, that also becomes a building if you add a third dimension to it. And on and on and on. So what do you think about stars, asterisks, arrows, right? If all these things, like all the little characters, apostrophes, periods, if all of these things have a third dimension object, then you see that understanding what numbers and letters and symbols can represent, even in your own understanding. You don't even have to have what the traditional archaeological nor etymological background would require. You don't necessarily have to have that. Just think about it. You've seen something in your life that maybe resembles the letter X. You've seen a cross being carried, but you've also seen three strikes and you're out. You saw three crosses on Golgotha. Three strikes, you're out. What are they running on? The diamond. What is a diamond again? A pyramid in full. You link all of these things up and you're like, well, this thing, it doesn't make sense. Well, why is it America's favorite game then, baseball, where you're running on the diamond if it's not a pyramid? And why is that same pyramid on the back of the dollar bill then? Why would it be there also? So you link these things together, and for the sake of education and upliftment, illumination, right? We're not trying to strike anybody down with this information. We have people who are on that side of things. They're exposing like the darkness of everything. That's where their assignment in the realm of the Most High is. He's created and built them to do that with their personalities, with their character traits, with their background. All of this preps them to be perfect instruments for that. What I am is something different. I'm a mentalist, so it's more about well, they're there to point out what's wrong with a lot of the wrong that's being done, so they cover all of that ground actually, thoroughly. So I don't really feel a need to even rehash what hundreds of thousands of other content creators do. But I do want to talk about some of that stuff, but just making sure that I'm putting only my own spin on it. And this is not to justify any wrongdoings or any harmings of anyone. That's not what I mean. But when you're looking at just pure symbols and you're reading things like literature, again, I've said this in other videos, but again, you want to make it clear that there are two sides to the occult. There is a side to the occult that has nothing to do with harming people or animals. It has nothing to do with the shedding of blood, it has nothing to do with anything that is even remotely close to deprivation in any way, shape, or form. That is a side to the occult that is yet to be revealed. And a lot of times it gets confused for the right hand, but it's not the right hand. It's another occult path. But some say it's intergalactic, which is why it's not really mentioned on Earth. And you don't hear a lot of it. But even now you're seeing videos of folks speaking on behalf of this galactic federation and that galactic federation. We are from the Arcturian group, the Pleiadian group. You're hearing these things now, and you're getting news of people saying that, yeah, I saw a craft in the backyard, and then I seen I seen creatures that was this tall, and you got these things going on, and then you have alien in a lot of official documents, meaning anybody who's not native to here, they're already, you know what I mean? Alien was already there. It's on the cards, it's on the voting, it's a slot for it. It's on your W-2s. So a lot of this is there, and then when you break that word apart, again, I've heard this by other content creators, and it's right there in your face. Aline. If you owe something, you're not necessarily native to the land, or at least you're not treated as native if you're indebted on your own native soil, because it's usually outsiders that are usually taxed and charged, right? And held and bound and controlled and dictated to, right? So this and many other things, we're just chopping it up, you know, pretty much just random at this moment. But I did want to point out another spin on sacred geometry, just in case you're just looking at all of the shapes, you come across this stuff like numbers, letters, and all of that, and it just like it's too overwhelming. You don't know where to start to study it all because everybody has their own system and own interpretation of it. Right, that's exactly the point. You can glean across different schools of thought, but there's no end to knowledge. So if you're in this to get all the knowledge, then then that's what you're there to do. But don't think that there's gonna be a such thing as enough knowledge where you have the full truth enough to share it like that. No, just you have the full truth already in just whatever you're gleaning from. Just take that and apply it. Take that and provide it. If there's more information that you have to add to it later, then do that. There's addendums allowed for many pieces of legislative writing even. So again, it's Super T Sigma of Sigma Programming. Continue to expand your mind.